Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of 2OT. Again, ito po ang aming pangalawang season with the Tiebreaker Times podcast family. And a reminder that 2OT is presented by Smart. Simple, smart, game-changing. Simple, smart kami ni Magu. Magu, second day of competitions in the quarterfinals. Sobrang excited na tayo because as we discussed yesterday kasama si Coach Ryan Gregorio, napakaganda ng mga pairings, no? Walang tapon, walang bitawan dito sa lahat ng mga apat na matchups natin in the quarterfinals.
Sayang lang talaga dahil yung Phoenix at saka Magnolia, nagtagpo kagad, mini series lang. Twice to beat yung Phoenix, twice to win disadvantage naman yung Magnolia. These are the two of the loudest benches, two of the loudest set of people. Hindi sana, pero masarap sana at least sa best of 5. At least sa semi sana sila nagkita para yung gulo nga, parang dati, parang old normal, para kang nasa Araneta pa rin. Kung makapag-ingay yung bench ng Phoenix, kung makapag-ingay yung bench ng Magnolia, nakaka-enjoy panoorin.
Pero ganun talaga, maagang pinagtagpo ng tadhana yung Phoenix Super LPG at Magnolia Hotshots Pambansang Manok. We'll have to enjoy that matchup later on. Pero ngayon magubatiin muna natin yung mga nanonood sa atin. No? Si Mark Francis de Vera. Of course, alam natin, avid Alaska fan. Si Christian Pardo Galos, shout out from Erosin Sorsogon, NSD for Life. Si Ron Velasquez Abinion, Rodanil Leonardo, si Jonathan James Azario from Dipolog, sila Harold Drio, si Ronald Arnilio, shout out sa lahat ng taga Cagayan, sabi niya, si Jonas Nieva.
Si Jonas, napakaganda kagad ng tanong. Meron lang tayong kailangan pasadahan about the elimination round. Tatanungin natin si Carlo dyan right after that before tayo mag-discuss ng playoffs. Maganda yung tanong mo, Jonas. Relax ka lang sandali.
So to open our discussions, gusto nating tignan yung mga statistical leaders at the end of the elimination round. Alam nating lahat na nanggaling sa 7-month break, pero yung mga performance, yung mga individual performance ng ating mga superstars dito sa PBA, nagpakita naman talaga. And we can see that from the statistics.
Kaya una nating sisilipin kagad. Points per game, yan ang pinaka-importante sa lahat. Yan ang pinaka-importante binibilang. And again, just like last season, number 1 on the list is CJ Perez ng Terra Firma Jeep. Talaga namang, ito si CJ, nung una nga, halos 30 yan, pero nag-taper off ng konti. But he still led the entire PBA at 24.4 points per game. Nagulat ka pa ba dyan, Carlo?
Alam mo, si CJ Perez, we know what to expect coming from him day in and day out. And the thing is, siya na yung pinaghahandaan ng buong depensa. Siya na yung inaabangan nitong lahat ng nakakalaban ng Terra Firma G. But still, he can produce those points virtually against the entire defense of the opposing team. Kaya mas lalong nakakabilib itong ginagawa ni CJ Perez.
Talagang si CJ nag-level up yung laro. No? We knew he was good back in college. We knew he was spectacular, or he proved he was spectacular when he got to the PBA stage. Pero nung nagilas siya, pagkatapos doon, iba yung air of confidence niya. He just knows that he can do it against anybody kasi kung yun nga, ang lalaki ng kalaban sa world stage, nagagamitan niya naman ganung klaseng angulo. Yung kumpiyansa niya talaga nag-skyrocket na lang pagbalik niya sa PBA stage. And he is a sight to see. Malas lang at palaging hanggang elims natin napapanood etong si CJ. But the standout performers dito sa ating Philippine Cup so far, Matthew Wright, he was leading the league as well in scoring for a minute there. Pero ito hindi lang points merong rebounds, merong assists, but that 22.8, that is solid, Carlo.
Of course, ito yung in-expect mo kay Wright, no? You were saying that it should be a 25-5-5 kind of performance throughout the conference para kay Matthew Wright. At yung maganda dito is, kung sinasabi natin si CJ Perez, sa kanya na nakatuon yung pansin ng depensa, nagawa niya ng paraan with just scoring. Itong si Matthew Wright naman, because the defense is focused on him, nag-adjust siya. Iniba niya yung atake niya, dinagdagan niya yung playmaking. You know, even if he is not the point guard, siya yung nagde-decision para sa koponan, siya yung naghahanap kung sino yung pwedeng pasahan, sino yung mga bukas. Kaya naman, kahit na second lang siya in terms of scoring, second naman yung team niya in the rankings at the end of the elimination round.
Actually, tied for first na winner over the other lang. Kaya naging number 2 seed sila heading into the playoffs at mamaya nga po maglalaro sila. Ray Parks maglalaro din mamaya, 20.1 points per game, Paulie right there behind him at 19.9. And then si C-Stan, we've seen the last of him already. 19.9 din. C-Stan, frustrating yung season niya dahil they entered the bubble without Bolik. And then nawala pa si Anthony. Was it 4 games into it?
Yeah.
Kaya naman nagkamalas-malas na yung batang pair. Pero itong Parks, itong Lee, as we go along, madadagdagan pa to, Carlo.
Oh, for sure. Kasi tataas yung mga minuto ng mga main gunners. No? Nung elimination round, we can understand that somehow gusto mong ilimitahan yung minutong nilalaro ng mga superstars mo, Paulie and Ray Parks, for example. Pero si Matthew Wright played extensive minutes.
41 minutes a game yan.
Yep, siya po yung pinakamaraming minutong nilalaro. Kaya naman naging ganun yung mga numero niya na nakatulong din that he stays on the floor a long time for Phoenix Super LPG. But expect guys like Ray Parks, especially itong si Paulie, to get a bump in their numbers kasi tataas yung mga minuto nila.
Silipin naman natin susunod, yung rebounds per ball game natin. And number 1 dyan, yung number 5 dun sa scoring din. Christian Stan Hardinger lording it over the boards. Pero take a look at who's second right now, Carlo. Calvin Abueva, close to 11 boards per outing.
Of course, Calvin Abueva. Kailangan natin lagyan ng konting asterisk yung kay Calvin because he was not able to play all of the games ng Phoenix Super LPG. So in terms of average, it's definitely impressive. Pero mas maganda kung long-term na masisilip natin yung ginagawa nitong si Calvin Abueva. Yung kanyang fellow Kapampangan, Arwin Santos, just a shade under a double-double average dito sa Philippine Cup, 9.9. Perkins, teammate ni Calvin at 9.5. At syempre, hindi na rin nakakagulat. The best rebounding guard in the PBA today is Scottie Thompson with 8.8 solid numbers for Scottie even in rebounding.
Kaya hindi ka talaga magugulat talking about Abueva and Perkins kung bakit nag-tied for first at naging 2 seed itong Phoenix. Yeah. Hindi lang dyan mamaya may dadaanan pa tayo pero hindi ganong katangkaran tong lineup na to, Carlo. Pero kita mo naman yung mga undersized forward nila. Abueva at si Jason Perkins nandiyan dyan sa top 5 natin. That's what? 19 close to 20. More than 20 rebounds per game pagka 20.2 pagka pinagsama mo 10.7, 9.5, 20.2 tama nga. Galing ko sa mata
Sige na.
Dr. J, I hope you're not watching.
After 4 tries nakuha mo rin yung
Nilito niyo ako papagagalitan ako ni Dr. J neto Lipat na nga tayo sa assist per game naman. At ito yung binabanggit mo, Carlo. Yung Matthew Wright, number 2 na sa scoring sa PBA. After the elimination round, of course, this is discounting yesterday's quarterfinals games. Well, si Wright naman, mamaya pala maglalaro. Pero tignan mo naman yung mga player ng Phoenix. Dalawa sa pinaka-main nila, Wright and Abueva, willing passers, Carlo.
You have the number 2 scorer and the number 2 rebounder in the league being in the top 3 in assists. That just shows you yung pag-buy-in itong Phoenix Super LPG dun sa sistemang gustong laruin ni Coach Topex Robinson. Itong numero ni Calvin, yung 6.7 assists, these are career highs.
Yeah.
Hindi pa nangyayari to na ganito ka-willing pumasa, ganito ka-willing maghanap ng open na kakampi. Itong si Calvin Abueva. While the rebounding has always been there, this is something new that he's doing. That means he has completely bought in. Yung sistema na gusto ni Coach Topex, sinusunod 100% itong si Calvin at ni Matthew Wright. Kaya naman ganito yung nagiging resulta.
Kung yung dalawang yan bago, Carlo, yun yung nasa gitna nila yung number 2, luma na. Mm-hmm. Alam na natin na ito si Scottie Thompson pagdating sa rebounding, pagdating sa assist, maaasahan na dati pa, inaantay na lang natin talaga yung consistency ng outside shot niya para talaga maging sobrang deadly. Pero maganda rin ang scoring din naman ni Scottie. Wala lang siya sa leader sa points. Pero Scottie Thompson doing Scottie Thompson things once again, Carla.
Tapos syempre, meron ka pang Jason Castro and Mark Baroka, 2 former finals MVPs sa ating liga, helping their teams out in terms of just sharing the ball, creating for their own teammates. Yung pasahan, napakaganda dito dito sa loob ng PBA bubble. And kailangan din natin i-note because as people who have been closely following the PBA, alam natin na yung assist per game category, usually, more often than, maybe 90% of the time, Barangay Ginebra yung number 1. Alam natin dalawa yan, lagi nating nasusundan yan. Laging number 1 in assist yung Barangay Ginebra. But for this particular conference, they were dislodged by Phoenix. And you have 2 of the reasons why. Matthew Wright and Calvin Abueva averaging 12.7 assists per ball game between them. So that is a huge number. Hindi pa kasali dyan. Yung mga point guards nila, Brian Eruela, RJ Hazu also helping out. And that is why they're now the top team in terms of assists sa buong liga, at least in the elimination round.
And isa pang kapansin-pansin sa listahan yan. 3 of these guys come off the bench. Abueva, of course, we all know, is a sixth man. Jason Castro this season, a sixth man as well. Si Mark Baroka, minsan starter, minsan off the bench. Pero yun yung dynamics nga no, na nakikita natin ngayon sa PBA. Coaches don't rely on their starting units alone. Talagang yung battle plan is for 48 minutes of basketball at napakalaki ng papel ng mga off-the-bench guys dito.
Sabi rin naman ni Coach Tito Victolero, his rotation is a little bit inspired by Coach Yang Giao, no? Para mahuhula lagi yung opposing team kung sino yung mag-uumpisa, kung ano yung gagawin at the start of the game for the Magnolia Hotshots. And it has worked for them so far with 6 straight wins. Tignan natin kung matutuloy nila yung streak na yan mamaya.
Yun nga ang daming nagugulat. Oh. Naka 6 straight wins yung Magnolia pero nasa twice to win disadvantage pa rin. Kasi nga po, unprecedented nga yata na 5 team nagtabla-tabla sa 7-4 for third place. Na-quotient lang talaga yung Magnolia. Let's see if they can step it up just like how Meralco did it yesterday kung mamaya makapuwersa sila ng do or die. Tapos na tayo sa offensive stats. Well, meron pang konti mamaya. Ngayon, silipin naman natin defensive stats starting with steals per game. At ang nangunguna dyan, si The Flying B, yung dating Coffee Prince na si Mark Baroka.
Mark Baroka 2.3 with Chris Ross at 2.3. Alam mo, kailangan nating bigyan ng pansin itong si Chris Ross because he's doing this with an injured thumb. Parang third game or fourth game of the PBA bubble nasaktan na itong si Chris Ross. So it's certainly impressive that he was able to pull that off. And, you know, we have to move on to the next statistical category, yung blocks natin. Na, again, we will see here why Phoenix is doing so well in this conference because meron na naman silang tao on top of the rankings in Justin Chua. And sobrang nakakagulat we already discussed this before. Justin Chua is not known for his defense.
Not the tallest guy, not the most athletic, not even the highest jumper. Pero nandiyan si Chua at the top. And I think it's a testament to their team defense, Carlo, dahil hindi naman solo Hindi one-on-one defense yung nakukuha ni Chua yung blocks niya. Pinalalambot na o pinababagal na o pinapa-change directions na ng mga primary defender ng Phoenix. Yung mga umatake sa kanila. And then Chua is just there as the last line to protect the rim.
Saka yung timing niya maganda He's a solid defender. At saka karamihan kasi doon sa blocks niya, hindi help So hindi mo masyadong kailangan ng athleticism. Kailangan mo lang timingan ng tama yung initial na dinedepensahan mo. And he has been doing it against guys like Christian Stan Hardinger na depensahan niya ng maayos when they matched up. So definitely impressive numbers from Justin Chua. Siyempre nakikita natin doon, Japet will always be there. Arvin Santos will always be there. Yung JV Mocon, a little bit surprising, no, for him to be in this category because of his height, but you can just see the intelligence of this player. Kaya niya talagang gawin yung iba't ibang bagay para sa Rangers.
Came up with another big block last night, pero doon na po magtatapos yung kampanya ni JV Mocon for 2020. Pero kung si JV Mocon natapos yung Japet Aguilar, eto na, Carlo.
Yeah.
He has played himself into form. Kagabi, nag-double-double na itong si Japet, and we expect him to be even more dominant as Barangay Nebra goes along. Ito yung inabangan nga nila, late addition to the bubble. Wala talaga sa kondisyon dahil nga nanggaling sa injury. Pero ngayon, ito na yung Japet na nakakatakot na naman, Carlo. Dumating na. Ito na, nagpakita na sa PBA bubble.
And it makes Barangay Ginebra like 10 times more dangerous moving forward. Kasi nga, ang ganda na nung pinerform nung bench players mo who stepped up. You have Prince Caperal, you have Jared Dillinger, Jody Vance playing well. And then you add to them an informed Japet Aguilar. So Barangay Ginebra with 4 days of rest, will be debuting in the semifinals this coming Wednesday. Napakahabang pahinga. The longest maybe of this entire PBA bubble para sa kanila except for the time that we had a break. Kaya naman, they should be dangerous heading into the semifinals.
Reminder to everybody, starting Wednesday po, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday na lang ulit. Regular game days ng PBA dahil semis na nga po. Pukpukan na to. It's gonna be best of 5 in the semis and best of 7 in the finals. Pero isa pa lang yung alam natin na nakapasok doon. Mamaya, sa One Sports, 2 more matchups. And then bukas, meron tayong isang game. It is gonna be etong San Miguel versus Meralco again. So yun yung 5 major statcats na palagi natin tinututukan all throughout. Pero dito sa 2OT, meron tayo palaging bonus. Yung favorite natin tinututukan, Carlo, the plus-minus, the efficiency of the players, sinilip ulit natin by the end of the elims. And look at this. It is Kevin Louis Alas atop the charts. Kada nasasayag siya, 10.2 points ang nadadagdag sa score ng team niya.
And Calvin Abueva closely behind at 9.3. Raul Soyud also there with Kiefer Ravena and RR Pogoy. Nakakagulat, no, Maguna. 3 of the players are from NLEX. I think the math just adds up to their favor kasi nga hindi naman usually starters yung makaka-match up nitong tatlo because sometimes they'd start, sometimes they won't. So may mga pagkakataon na maybe Kevin Alas enters the ball game as part of the second unit tapos doon makakahabol itong NLEX. Kaya naman tumaas ng ganyan yung plus and minus niya.
Pero tatlo nga sila doon. Ano? And I think yung bulto no nakuha dito sa late push netong NLEX Road Warriors, they're one game away from making it to the playoffs. Sabi nga ni Coach Cheng, nung matalo sila sa Alaska Aces, that spelled doom for them. That was an overtime loss at that, di ba, Carlo?
Tama yan. Sabi nga niya, kahit na gusto nilang umasa na matalo yung Rain or Shine sa TNT at Phoenix, they needed both to win against Rain or Shine. Sabi niya, hindi na siya masyadong umasa doon kasi alam niyang they lost it when they lost the game to Alaska. Unfortunately, nagtapos ng maaga yung NLEX, but for the franchise and for the team, just being able to fight back from that early adversity was already a big statement moving forward. So may mga kailangan silang baguhin sa kanilang lineup as Coach Cheng said, and they should be a force to be reckoned with sa pagbabalik ng ating PBA.
Lalong-lalo na, I think Coach Cheng said they have 15 players expiring this offseason. So, pwedeng mag-retool plus early draft pick pa. I think dalawang early draft pick pa makukuha nila. One via a previous trade, one dahil sa result netong PBA bubble nila. So, magiging nakakatakot yung NLEX if they keep that core together and some of those younger guys, mabigat yung magiging performance ng NLEX moving forward.
They will have the pick of Blackwater Elite that they picked up by trading away JP Eram. And then they will have their own pick. So they will be picking 3rd and 4th sa paparating na draft.
So yun nga, no? So itong NLEX, a team to watch out for. We expect guys like sina Ravena and sina Alas to be back. And let's see kung sino pa makakasama nila. Pero hindi lang yung plus-minus, yung bonus natin, bonus stats for today, Carlo. Ito, isa sa mga talagang sinilip mo, gusto mong mai-point out sa lahat, yung iba't ibang percentage leaders natin.
Yung mga shooting percentage na gusto nating makita dyan. Moto 2 has been spectacular in this entire competition. 61% field goal shooting. Napakataas po niyan, even for a center. No? Even for a center, that's very high. And considering, now, tumitira pa yan from the outside. May mga 3-point conversions din si Mo. So, for it to be able to stay at 61%, that is a great number for him. Pero dito ako nagulat eh.
Yung dalawang gitna.
The best shooter from the 2-point range is a point guard. And then the best 3-point shooter of the PBA Elimination Round Philippine Cup is a center. I mean, that's just outstanding numbers which shows you yung progression ng basketball, not just in the Philippines, but in the entire world. It's about spacing. It's about your big men being threats from the outside. And if tinututukan yung mga big men mo sa labas, syempre yung mga mabibilis na players mo na maliliit tulad ni Jason Castro, mas may pagkakataong sumaksak and get their numbers from the interior. So, yun yung mga interesting statistical categories na mga field goal percentage na gusto nating nakikita because we see where basketball is transforming to, kung saan tayo papunta. And of course, the most impressive free throw shooter in the entire league, no one else but Stanley Pringle, 95.5%.
He doesn't even get to the line as much. Nasa 40-something siya in terms of free throw attempts per game. Hindi katulad nung dati, no? Talagang si Stanley. Pero because he's bought into the system of Coach Tim, hindi na siya talaga ball dominant katulad nung nasa Global Port pa siya, which is now Northport, of course. Hindi na siya yung palagi may hawak at sasaksak lang. He's bought into the system. He doesn't get to the free throw line as much, pero once he does, hindi niya sinasayang yung mga pagkakataon, Carlo.
Yung pinahirapan siya kahapon ng depensa ng Rain or Shine, but he still found a way to make it work. And Magu, na-discuss na natin yung lahat ng statistical categories that we wanted to talk about. Now let's jump right into our playoff picture, our updated playoff bracket as we are about to play the second set here today. Ang naging resulta po natin kahapon, Meralco Bolts defeating the San Miguel Beermen, extending that series to a second game tomorrow at 6:45 p.m. Samantala sa kabilang banda nila, Rain or Shine Elasto Painters bowing out of the competitions as they lost in a tight grind-it-out fashion kontra sa Barangay Ginebra San Miguel.
Talagang sayang to para sa Rain or Shine. Ano? Yeah. If only, you gotta go back to that Phoenix game. If only they found a way to win that one, nasa twice to beat sana sila. They would have been number 4. Pero dahil nga po hindi sila pinalad kontra sa Phoenix, kita mo naman, naging number 8 sila. And kahit na solid pa rin naman yung pinakita nila, they didn't get any consistency from one guy all game long. Pero at different moments of the game, talagang may nag-step up para sa kanila. Mocon had the first quarter, Belga had his moments. A couple of other guys had really big moments, even James Yap. Pero wala lang solid na 48-minute stretch na nakuha nga eto si Coach Caloy sa kanya mga players. Kaya pagdating ng dulo, na Stanley Pringle sila.
Balikan muna natin yung Meralco versus San Miguel Beermen. No? It was the first game yesterday. And Meralco led basically from bell to bell. 78-71 is the final score. Aaron Black is the best player with 14 points. 3 of 8 shooting from the 3-point range. But the most impressive number among all of those numbers was that 11 of the 14 points from the rookie came in the fourth quarter.
Solid tong sobra si Aaron Black. Dalawa sila ni Tito Ray na Lugnatan, ano? Yung pwede na maging mag-ama. Talaga namang nagpakita gilas. Ray na Lugnatan's 42 years old. Aaron Black is 23 years old. Kaya yung polar opposites nila Coach Norman Black dyan sa Meralco, sila yung bumamba. And then you still had guys like Newsom. You still had guys like Basera Mer. They had their moments in the game. But that kid, Aaron Black, hindi mo matatawaran yung tibay ng loob. Hindi ito yung tipong anak lang kasi ng coach kaya may playing time o sila lang yung nagpatahi ng uniform kaya nabigyan ng slot dito sa team niya. Di ba sa liga kung sino nag-manager ng team, magiging player yung anak. Hindi, ito. This guy is a stud. Aaron Black has proven time and again that he belongs on the stage. Ang ganda ng mix, yung controlled aggression neto ni Baser Amer, gamitin ni Coach Norman. Tapos when the team hits a wall, pagka nag-stalemate, papasok may Aaron Black, may ibabigla yung pace. Bumibilis and the timely sniping, tibay na loob ni Black. Ito, nasa do or die bigla. Ang Bolts, delikado ang SMB dito.
Kailangan natin pag-usapan ng San Miguel Beer. No Junmar Pajardo, no Terence Romeo. Injuries to Chris Ross, injuries to Marcio Lassiter, Alex Cabagnot, nagka-hamstring injury rin.
But, ang bigat nun. Ang bigat sobra nung Alex Cabagnot. If he is not ready to go by tomorrow, San Miguel's gonna be in trouble. They need Alex Cabagnot there. Merong Lassiter, merong Ross, merong Arwin Santos, but si Cabagnot, iba yung dinadalang presence on the floor, di ba?
Yeah. And if you remember, he hit the biggest shot for SMB in their entire campaign. In 2019, he basically hit the game winner against the Magnolia Hotshots in Game 7. So you know how important he is.
Kaya nga nabansagan siyang crunchman ni Dadin, di ba? Dahil he's done it time and again. It's not just that. It's throughout his career. Ito si Alex Cabagnot. Merong clutch gene. Ito si Cabagnot. Not to say that nobody else there has it. Pero iba pagka nandun si Cabagnot, nadadagdagan yung threat. Pero San Miguel nga. Through the years, Carlo, I think may nahalukay ka neto. Hindi lang ito yung first time na nasa do or die sila. Throughout the years, sanay na sanay sa ganito itong mga to.
Yun nga parang when you look at the past 5 years of the Philippine Cup, you just assume na, dinomina naman ng San Miguel Beer. But that's not necessarily true because they had to survive 10 do or die games, 10 knockout games for them to be able to get that 5 Philippine Cup winning streak in the championship.
Pasadana, not just the Birakel, hindi lang po yung Birakel. May mga iba pang ganitong sitwasyon, di ba, Carlo? Yung Birakel kasi, I think everybody knows about that. Nag-freeze ba? And yun nga, no? Meron si Carlong listahan ng mga pinagdaanan na ng San Miguel from the past. The Birakel, we all know about that, but there are other games that we want to remind everybody about. I think si Carlo nagka-problema right now. Mahaba pa naman ang ating kwentuhan dahil 4 o'clock pa. 4 o'clock pa naman yung tip-off. Hindi na tayo magagap. Okay na. Tuloy na. Hindi, di ba, 10 beses na, Carlo. You were pointing out to me last night. 10 beses na etong San Miguel, except for the Miracle Run, meron pang 6 na ibang beses na nag-face sa do or die games, di ba?
2018 lang, hindi nila kinailangan mag-survive ng do or die game. Even last year, they were down 3-2 against Magnolia after that Baroka game winner, and then they found a way to still win it. So, for them to keep their streak going, they have to survive one more do or die match tomorrow against Meralco.
So yun nga, sanay na sanay itong San Miguel Beermen. Pero ang masaya para sa Meralco, you gotta love it kasi even if you're a San Miguel fan, you gotta love how Meralco's performing because they're not just happy to be here. Yeah. Gusto mo makakita pa rin ng quality basketball. And basketball fans in general like us, Carlo, we love this kind of competition, di ba? Ako nga, kung natuloy tayo ng Thursday na itong preview show na to, ang hihilingin ko lahat ng twice to beat maging do or die. Yun ang gusto ko para lahat talaga, baka na dahil digit-digit din naman sa standings yan So, bigyan na natin ng do or die sana lahat. Well, rain or shine is out. Meralco now in a do or die. Hopefully, mamaya yung dalawa mag-do or die din. Yun lang. Kahit sino manalo, basta mag-do or die muna tayo sa Monday, di ba?
Magu, you already talked about Barangay Ginebra a little bit kanina, no? Yung Stanley Pringle sa dulo. We will have a lot of time to talk about Barangay Ginebra moving forward since they're in the semifinals. Pero para sa akin, I think we have to give special, attention sa ginawa ng Rain or Shine Elasto Painters in this conference because as Coach Tim Cone said yesterday, Coach Caloy Garcia did a wonderful job of coaching that team. They knew exactly what their strengths were. Hindi sila explosive offensive team. So what they did was they limited the scoring as much as they could. They were the best defensive team in terms of limiting the points of their opponents. And yung sa kanila was for their opponents to try and just grind it out each and every game. And it almost worked against Barangay Ginebra.
Yung depensa nandoon, the rookies, alam ni Coach Caloy kailan sila gagamitin. Etong sina Tolentino had their moments, si Wong had their moments. Kasi kinuha nga niya mga rookies, all winners from the amateur ranks, from the college ranks. Ang isang naging problema ng Rain or Shine, a lot of times, they started 3-0 and 4-1. 3-0, natalo ng isa, 3-1, and then nanalo ulit 4-1. And then doon na nagka-windang-windang yung kanilang kampanya because hindi mo talaga matatawaran yung depensa ng Rain or Shine this tournament. May naging problema sila sa opensa. Time and again, we saw it. Even on fast breaks, 3-on-1, 3-on-2 fast breaks, yung spacing nila, masama. Even on half-court sets, and yung usual fast break attack na itong Rain or Shine through the years, mula nung kay Coach Cheng and the early years of Coach Caloy, ginagamit talaga nila yung pagtakbo. There were games they had 0 fast break points. There were games they had 2 fast break points. They ended the elims at the bottom at only 6 fast break points a game. So it was really a problem with their offense. And you take a look at the breakdown. Ito yung breakdown nung numbers kahapon. Rain or Shine holding Barangay Ginebra to only 81 points. Tignan mo yung assist story. Nandun pa rin yung assist ng Ginebra, 27. Look at the steals, 8 steals. But they just could not translate it into fast break points. So yung depensa nandun, nagka-problema lang talaga sa opensa. Etong Rain or Shine Elasto Painters. And let's see what kinds of adjustments Coach Caloy and the management will do come next season para dito sa Elasto Painters.
Alam mo, Magu, yung masakit dyan for Rain or Shine was that this game was in the same mold as their elimination round game. Halos pareho yung nangyari in those two contests. The big difference was, mas maganda lang talaga yung nilaro ng Barangay Ginebra marginally in the last 2 minutes of that contest. But
and that guy on your screens right now, he's back, Carlo.
Japet with the best performance of his Philippine Cup stint so far. And as we said earlier, pag nasa kondisyon na itong Japet, Barangay Ginebra becomes even more dangerous. Pero Magu, lagi mo nang nasasabi sobrang sayang yung talo ng Rain or Shine against Phoenix Super LPG dun sa kanilang last game. Pero para sa akin, yung pinakasayang talaga na game was the one against Alaska in the elimination round. If you remember, may kaliweting layup si Reynang Bata.
Yeah.
Was maybe 2 inches away from from going in and winning that game. So if they won that, hindi nga nila kakailanganin yung panalo against Phoenix Super LPG. So that really turned the tide for Rain or Shine, in my opinion.
Doon parang nabasag sila bigla after that because you gotta remember before that, ang daming games, 2 o 3, sa early part ng ating tournament. Ito si Ray ng Batak would have a crappy game. excuse me, para all game long he'd be shooting 0 for 5, 0 for 6 from the 3-point line. But he came up with that one game winner and that one to send it into overtime. Puwera pa yung sa Ginebra, no? Ray ng Batak, we were starting to call him the last 1-minute man dahil kahit anong nilaro niya, first 47 minutes ng basketball game, pagdating sa last minute, bigla na lang nagkakamilagro. Ang tibay na loob ng Batak. Naubos nga lang in that Alaska game. Layup na nga lang, di na nga jumper, di ba? Pero minalas bigla itong si Stingray.
Dagger against San Miguel Beermen, tapos yung pampa-overtime against, and the 2 free throws against Northport Batang Pier, alam natin lahat yan eh. And kaya nga, if you're rain or shine, you're still very excited about the future. Nandyan pa rin yung mga veterano, Gabe Norwood, Bowen, James will still be there to guide them. But you like what Coach Caloy Garcia is building for the future nitong rain or shine.
You also like the fact, ni-report ni Denise Tanto yesterday na Bo was actually hurt. He was playing hurt, but he was telling nobody. Mapapansin mo paminsan-minsan umiika, pero Bo just sucked it up, nag-painkiller, he sucked it up, he wanted to push that to a do or die. Yun nga lang, hindi na kinaya pagdating ng dulo. Japit ang nagbuhat sa Ginebra, and then they shut down etong si Pringle. Pringle had 6 points heading into the last 3 minutes of that game. He was shooting 3 of 12 from the field. It wasn't for a lack of trying. Ang ganda lang talaga ng depensa ng rain or shine sa kanya. Pero pagdating ng dulo, yun niya eh. That's basketball. Kaya nga po hindi 5 minutes lang to, hindi 12 minutes lang to. It's a 48-minute game. Yung depensa nila got worn down and yung back-to-back hits ni Pringle at the end. Before pa nung tres ni LA to put it away. That sealed the deal. Yung back-to-back hits na dahil inubos na nga ng Ginebra yung depensa ng rain or shine doon.
Bago inabutan na rin ng pagod yung depensa ng rain or shine, as you said. It's not easy to stay in front of a talent like Stanley Pringle all game long. Yung si Bo kahapon was really tired. Nakikita mo talaga na binuhos niya lahat. He gave it everything that he could. Yung ibang timeout ng rain or shine, halos siya na yung nagre-request just to get a minute breather para lang matulungan niya pa rin yung team niya. So again, we tip our hats to Coach Caloy Garcia and the rest of the rain or shine Elasto Painters. They're the first casualty in the quarterfinals, but certainly still something to be proud of yung kanilang naging performance dito sa bubble.
So yun po yung recap ng mga laro yesterday. Ngayon, mamaya-maya lang pag-uusapan na natin yung mga games today. We should take maybe a 1-minute break lang to prepare. Pag-uusapan na po natin yung TNT Alaska, pati yung Phoenix Magnolia right after this word from Smart.
Break through a world where big data beats your worries. A world that gives you priority when innovations come. This is the GigaLife on Smart Signature. Simplified by the Philippines' fastest mobile data network. The choice is simple. Move up to Smart Signature and make your mark. How do I know it's meant to be? Simple, smart ako.
Habang inaantay natin makabalik si Sir Carlo Pam Insanity, shoutouts muna ulit tayo. Ito, mga taga Sorsogon, kamusta po kayo? Sabi ni Christian Pardo Galos. Ito inaantay from shoutout po sa lahat ng taga Cagayan, sabi ni Ronald Arnillo. All our thoughts and prayers are with everybody from Cagayan and from everybody else, from everywhere else na naapektuhan na itong nakaraang unos. Jonas, wait ka lang. Tatanong natin kay Carly ang tanong mo maya-maya pagbalik niya. Jomar Muyot nagtatanong, thoughts on the current pool of Gilas players? Actually po, nakakwentuhan natin kagabi si SBP SAP, Ryan Gregorio, Coach RG. Hanapin mo dito sa page natin sa Facebook or sa YouTube. Nandiyan dyan yung episode na yan para mas in-depth po yung thoughts na makukuha mo about the current pool of Gilas players. Kamusta sa lahat ng taga Binyan, Laguna? Jason Honrales, kamusta sirs? Si Joseph Barredo naman from Dubai, kamusta ka sir? Eto, tinatanong ni Jason Honrales, yung dalawa sa Pinatubo Truyo, mag-aarap mamaya, The Beast. Actually, hindi ko po alam talaga kung bakit pinatubo trio tawag eh. Di ba pinatubo na sa Zambales? Hindi na, di ba? Ay taga Pampanga to mga to eh. Pero magkatapat po mamaya si Sanggalang at si Abueva. Alan Isley said good afternoon. Good afternoon din sa'yo. Go TNT, sabi ni Janos Montilla. Pure Foods Magnolia fan naman, si Alan Isley. Oy, kamusta po? Ayun nga, na good afternoon na natin. Tinatanong nga kung si Cinderella run etong Magnolia. Tandaan po natin, last season, 2019 Philippine Cup, 1-4 din nagsimula Magnolia, made it all the way to the finals. And then nung nag-champion na Magnolia, so a couple of seasons back, they were the 6th seed. 6th seed sila, nag-champion sila. This time around, 7th seed. Tignan natin kung maigapang nila all the way. Basta sa akin, sana mag-do or die, tas kahit sino na manalo. Gusto ko nga sana yung Phoenix Magnolia eh. Sa best of 5 sana talaga nagtapat. Can Calvin still win the MVP? Ko-compute natin yan, ano? Kasi kailangan niya mas marami pang games. You have to play 70% of the games to be qualified, to be nominated lang ng games ng team mo. Titignan natin, they need to make a longer run para magkaroon siya ng mas maraming games para malamang maging qualified para dyan. Jonas Nieva says, nagpapahiwatig na baka magre-retire si Asi? Sabi ni Asi, it depends on management. So, abangan natin pare-pareho. We all don't want to see him go, but of course, yung katawan ni Asi, yung kailangan niya isipin, his family and all that. And of course, yung team din, yung management, sabi nga nila, 15 players expiring for NLEX, what they seem fit moving forward, yun ang, pag nalaman natin, pag binalita nila, malalaman natin, babalita din natin sa lahat. Sabi ni Nathaniel Rosaupan, sana matupad yung pinapangarap niyang finals na Ginebra versus Magnolia. Ginebra, mas malapit na. Nasa semis na. Magnolia, kailangan pang gumapang starting tonight. Nahanap natin, ano? Luigi Malubay says, Tautua, Caperal, and Chua contender for most improved player. All three of them definitely impressive. Pero syempre, kailangan kung sino yung mas malayo pa rin marating. Tandaan po natin, pagdating sa mga statistical points, meron pong bonus yan eh. Pag quarters na, pag semis na, pag finals na, bukod sa mga one game, hindi lang po yung sweldo yung may bonus, pati yung statistical points. Kaya gumaganda yung pagkakataon makakuha ng mga individual awards pag mas malayo nararating ng mga team. Ang dami-dami pa. Kamusta kay Penpen Gakutan? Kamusta kay Lawrence Garcia? Penpen Gakutan, shoutout po. Shoutout po sa iyo. Kamusta po kayo? Pambansang manok, tatapusin. Pambansang manok ata, pero ayun, hindi tatapusin ng Phoenix. Di ko nabasa yung hindi. Sorry. O nga, no? Baka nakakabalik na si Carlo eh. Ayun, bumabalik na nga. Admit. Tamo, hindi ako marunong neto eh. Si Carlo kasi usually yung host namin eh. Hindi. Ako nakikisali lang. Ayan. Sorry kanina ka ba nag-aantay, sirs?
Hindi na, ngayon lang.
Okay. Kala ko ako sabit eh. Okay, ito. Habang nakabalik ka, shoutout tayo eh. Asan yung tanong kanina? Ganda ng tanong, Carlo eh. Nawala. Ayun, tanong ni Jonas Nieva, Carlo. Sir Carlo, kamusta ang environment mula nung umalis yung mga eliminated teams? Nakakapanibago ba sa hotel? 4 na yung nawala. Actually, kailan umalis sa Rain or Shine? Kagabi, kanina?
Nandyan pa yung Rain or Shine.
Nandyan pa. So, may 4 nang nawala. May mawawala pang isa. Kamusta na yung hotel ngayon?
Actually, yung ka-floor namin, Magu, I think hati between San Miguel Beer at saka Blackwater. So sa lahat ng teams, yung Blackwater yung pinakamadalas namin makasalubong kasi yung area kung saan kami nakakapag-init ng pagkain, parang doon kami madalas parang nagkakakita-kita. Ngayon parang ang tahimik na doon sa 6th floor ng Quest Hotel. So nakakapanibago. You miss their presence kasi syempre may mga kaibigan din tayo from the teams that were eliminated from NLEX, from Northport, Blackwater, Terra Firma. So it's new. So it's a little bit weird na tahimik na kasi usually naririnig mo yung ingay nila eh pag aalis papuntang training, pagbalik after the games. Yung Rain or Shine nga kanina nung paalis kami papuntang venue, nagsuswimming as a team. parang ginagamit na lang nila itong extra day para makapag-bonding, to still enjoy each other's presence bago sila umuwi bukas. I think they're scheduled to go home tomorrow.
Ano ba yung process? Do they get tested again before going home?
Yung last test, I think, yun na yung kino-consider before going home. Kasi nag-negative naman lahat eh. So, there's really, no need for additional testing. Kasi, kailangan mo ring intindihin yung mga players. Because if you test them, that means maghihintay pa sila ng resulta bago umuwi. And alam naman natin, excited na sila to go home to their families. And the bubble has been intact. Wala namang duda about that. So, they will be heading home after today. So, bukas na umaga makakauwi.
So bukas pa susunduin. Hindi pwede magpasundo isa-isa, magbubus pa rin pa uwi.
Magbubus pa rin sila. Tama yan.
So, magulo yan mamayang gabi.
Oo nga.
Di ba? Relax na sila ba Yari na kayo mamayang gabi dyan.
So yung mga kapitbahay nila medyo matulog na siguro maaga.
Mag-iingay yung mga yan. Pero yan nga po, no? So, mamaya po, pasadaan ulit natin yung mga comments nyo, questions nyo, and shoutouts. Pero sa ngayon, Carlo, eto na. Pag-usapan na natin yung mga games for today. Starting at 4 o'clock today, it is gonna be ang TNT Tropang Giga versus the Alaska Aces. This was the very first game in the bubble. Of course, nagsimula yung tournament natin noong March 8, San Miguel, Magnolia. Pero nung pumasok sa bubble, ito yung first game, second game was Ginebra NLEX, but TNT Alaska was the first game. Alaska, first half, racing off to a 17-point lead. Pero by halftime break, Carlo, tabla na sa 48 yung laban na yan. Grabe yung naging larong yan.
Nanalo yung TNT doon sa laro na yun, no? But you have to take into consideration that they had to get a career game from Roger Pugoy. They needed all of those 45 points from Roger Pugoy to get ahead of the Alaska Aces. At yan yung nagpaparamdam sa atin na, teka, may laban itong Alaska. Even if they're considered the underdogs technically kasi sila yung may twice to win disadvantage. I think this is an evenly matched series dahil yung TNT, although they have an explosive offense, maganda naman yung pagka-physical at yung depensa nitong Alaska Aces. So it should make for a very interesting setup maya-maya lang, no? Just a few minutes before we start that ball game.
You see the numbers from that previous game, binanggit na ni Carlo, 45-point explosion, a career best para kay R.R. Pugoy. Pero tinamaan pa siya, naputokan pa ng kila yan in the dying moments of the game. So it had to take Jason Castro to go closer mode, takeover mode. The last 6 points of that contest, Jason Castro winning it para dito sa TNT Tropang Giga. They look mighty. They look untouchable, unbeatable at the start of this tournament. Pero ever since that loss to NLEX, may na-expose yata sila Coach Yang dito sa TNT. Because yun na, hindi na naging ganun kaganda yung dulo ng kampanya nila in the elimination round. That's why they ended up tied for third place with everybody else. Kaya ngayon, nandirito sila sa 3-6 matchup. Only needing one win atong TNT, but last game, nag-sit out din si Jason Castro. Anong balita mo kay Jason for this particular game?
Jason will be playing. There's no doubt about it. Yung sit-out niya in their last game of the elimination round against Rainer Shine was more to preserve him for the quarterfinals. Yun lang talaga yung naging punto nun. They just wanted to make sure that he is 100% healthy and their PT, sila Coach Nex Aceron, they've been dealing with all of yung mga issues na meron. So pinagtutulong-tulungan nila na siguraduhin that Jason Castro will be perfectly fine heading to the matchup later.
Pero nagkaroon na rin ng issues along the way. Etong si Eram, etong si Pugoy, si Parks actually missed that first game. Si Semerad na lang yata talaga hindi tinatablan dyan dahil sa sobrang tibay nun no?
Na-injured din siya no first game He rolled his ankle in the first game, if you remember. Yeah. Before Kip Montalvo injured his foot, unang nasaktan itong si David Semerad.
Kaya sila Sir Dex, grabe, no? Grabe yung ginagawang trabaho dyan just to keep the TNT Tropang Giga upright right now. They should be favorites, like you said. Etong Alaska should be underdogs. That they ended tied at 7-4. Quotient lang, kaya twice to win etong Alaska. What will it take for the Aces to force a rubber match, a do or die come Monday?
Their bigs have to play big. Itong Alaska, that's their best way of winning this game against TNT. Abu Tratter, itong si Vic Manuel, of course. Maybe get something from Barkley Ebonia. They need to establish their physical presence to to be able to deal with TNT's explosive offense naman.
Carlo, yung Trotter at saka yung Manuel, alam naman nating susubok, kailangan talaga sila. Yung Ebonia in that first outing, first ever PBA game niya, hindi pa ganito. Pero along the way, ang laki din ng growth ng bata, Carlo. What kind of Barkley Ebonia should we expect dito sa playoffs? Ibang stage pa ulit ito. Iba yung PBA stage, iba yung playoff stage, di ba?
That's the thing. We don't know. Lahat ng mga rookies natin, we really cannot say how they will react to the big-time atmosphere of the playoffs. No, it's great to get a performance like that coming from Aaron Black, a rookie na naging best player sa kanyang first ever playoff game. Pero hindi lahat may ganong klaseng tatag or may ganong klaseng kumpiyansa. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what kind of play Barkley Ebonia gives us in his first playoff game in the PBA.
And hopefully for the Alaska Aces faithful, magpakita nga si Ebonia. Jeron Teng, of course, he's been solid, he's been steady. Hindi pa lumalabas yung talagang isang explosive ball game, maybe a 25-pointer, maybe a 30-pointer. But he's been there, he's been a presence. JV Casio, Carlo. Of course, you're taking on a team led by Jason Castro on one end. How do you see JV playing in this one?
JV actually has had a resurgence dito sa Philippine Cup, no? Parang bumabalik yung JV of old, yung dating kumpiyansa, yung Powerade JV na pag nakakita ng bukas na tira, he really attacks it, he really looks for his own shot. Of course, he had to change his game a little bit as a member of the Alaska Aces dahil yung Alex Compton era, iba yung kinailangan from JV. They did not need the fire starter from Powerade. They needed him as a calming presence more often than not. But now we're seeing glimpses of that old JV Casio. So it should be fun to see him again. But for me, the key really here for Alaska will be the bigs. Kasi parang tanggap mo na na as Alaska is the bottom team in terms of getting 3 points made. Sila yung pinakamababa in terms of getting 3 points made. Pinakamataas naman in 3 points made yung TNT. So in terms of that matchup, tanggap mo na that you will not be able to hang with the 3-point shooting of TNT Tropang Giga. So, ano yung pang-counter doon? You have to dominate the inside. If Alaska finds a way to really assert their toughness, their strength in the shaded area, yun yung magbibigay sa kanila ng pagkakataon para talunin ang TNT.
Lalong-lalo siguro with the factor that yung JP Eram, he's been working on his emotions, he's been working on the focus. We know the talent's there. We all know the talent and the physique and the athleticism is there, Carlo. Pero yung mindset neto ni Eram, this is why he was brought over to TNT. He is supposed to be the number one big man over there. Alam mo naman natin, mag-all out yung frontline ng Alaska. How does Eram perform today?
It's all about that. It's all about containing his emotions, limiting his fouls. Because yung mga presence ng Alaska big man, they're tough, they're rugged, they're physical. Abu Tratter, Ebonia, Vic Manuel, lahat yan willing makipagbanggaan sa baba. So if Eram controls his emotions, controls his fouls, then he should be a big factor here. Pero Magu, hindi lang naman si Eram yung nahihirapan sa fouls. There were games that Troy Rosario also was in foul trouble. So they will be crucial to the cause of TNT. They need to stay in the game for as long as possible because even if David Semerad is there as a tough guy, you can't necessarily expect a lot of offense coming from him. Jay Wash can play a few minutes here and there, pero iba yung level ng JP Eram and Troy Rosario for the bigs of TNT.
So yan nga po, no? Mga kailangang mangyari for both squads, Alaska and TNT. Looking at the comments, si Romel Nodalo says, Herndon and Di Gregorio must deliver threes. Sabi mo nga, critical yun dahil TNT, alam naman natin, yung 3-point shooting yan. They shoot about 33% in wins but only 23-24% in losses. So yung mga gwardyang yan, not just delivering threes but guarding threes, kakailanganin din ng mga yan. Si James Montilla says, sana Black Mamba jerseys. Nakita mo na ba kung anong jersey suot?
Hindi pa. Mamaya silipin natin. Pakita natin agad sa...
San ba yung sampayan nila dyan? May panungkit ka ba? Kuha mo ko isa.
Kanya-kanyang kwarto eh.
Walang common na sampayan, gala ko.
Sige, ikaw kuha ka doon sa black jersey ng TNT. Ako gusto ko yung yung Mitchell and Ness ng Alaska eh.
Oo, solid din. Yung yung throwback din,
Yung throwback eh.
Manungkit ka na manungkit dyan, tignan natin. Kaso baka inspection din yung gamit mo pag palabas na, Carla. So yan po, yan nga mga sinisilip natin sa TNT and Alaska. Now let's talk about ito namang second game of the day. 6:45, around 6:45 to 7 magsisimula. Both of these games are One Sports, Channel 41 sa Free TV, Channel 6 sa Signal at Channel 59 sa Sky Cable. O kaya sa Facebook page ng One Sports, live po lahat yan. Phoenix being the 2 seed versus Magnolia dito sa ating PBA bubble being the 7th seed, Carlo. Magnolia's done it before. Last season nga, 1-4 umabot sa finals. Nung huling nag-champion, 6 seed pero nakapag-champion. Ito, 7 seed naman sila. Gapang to, Carlo.
Oh, yes. But, just looking at the stories alone of both these teams, Magnolia might be the most live 7th seed underdog in the recent history.
Kasi naman 6 straight wins yan di ba? Di ba grabing momentum to, Carlo?
Of course, 6 straight wins na nagpapataas ng kumpiyansa. At yung mga tinumba nitong Magnolia, hindi biro-biro. They defeated TNT, they defeated Barangay Ginebra. So it wasn't like those 6 wins were all a walk in the park. These were tough wins that they got, that they were able to carve out. And ang laki ng pagbabago in terms of their energy, their bench specifically. Kasi when they started having fun again, doon pumasok yung energy. And yung defensive mentality ng team ni Coach Chito Victorero, yung makukulit niyang guardia, Gio Calalon, Mark Baroca, Justin Melton, they live off of energy from the defensive end. And when they get that from their bench, pag nakukuha nila yung ganong pagka-hype ng bench nila, natatransform nila into defensive stops and easy baskets, and Magnolia is very difficult to stop.
Pati nga si Paulie, nahihiya ng sobra kay Baroka tsaka kay Halalon. Grabe na rin dumapensa ngayon, Everybody's stepping up. Yun. Pero malaking question mark siguro dito. Referee West will be there. He will be the steady presence. Yung Jackson Corpus. Nagpakita to, kauna-una ang klasiko niya. Nagpakita kagad 20 puntos. Pero ito, unang playoffs naman niya with Magnolia. Actually, nakapag-playoffs naman dati, pero this time around, Jackson Corpus, kailangan magpakita ng sobra dahil ang makakalaban niya sa kabila, Calvin Abueva.
At saka ang lalim nung big man rotation itong Phoenix Super LPG. Of course, they rely heavily on Justin Chua and itong si Jason Perkins. Pero may iba pang tumutulong dyan. Pwede ka pang mag-JR Reyes, pwede ka pang mag-Dave Marcelo, who's actually one of the league leaders in terms of blocks. So you can get minutes from all of those players. Yung Calvin Abueva nga, pwedeng mag-stretch into a power forward or a 3. Habang sa kabilang banda for Magnolia, they really only have Ian Sangalang, Rafi Ribes, and Jackson Corpus dahil doubtful pa rin na makapaglaro itong si Kyle Pascual. So they will need the best coming from those 3 to force a decider against the Fuel Masters.
Kung yung momentum netong Magnolia talaga namang matatakot ka, ang siguro isang magbibigay kumpiyansa sa Phoenix dito, sila yung huling tumalo sa Magnolia. Kumbaga, 6 straight wins kayo. Pero tignan mo yun, just before that Clasico game, yung Phoenix yung huling nagpatikim ng talo dito sa Magnolia. Yung psyche ng Phoenix nun parang, di ba, papagpag mo ba yung 6 straight wins ng hotshots nun?
And it was an epic win for Phoenix. It was one of their most impressive wins because they were down by as many as 18 points, if I'm not mistaken, in that game. They were 3 of 30 heading into the 4th quarter from the 3-point range, and then they caught fire. Yun yung mga hindi mo talagang kayang, you can't count out Phoenix. Yung mentality nila, because even if they're down big, they know that they can figure things out. They can crawl their way back into the game. Kaya nga, maganda itong matchup na to because Phoenix knows that they can beat Magnolia, but Magnolia also has the confidence na kaya nilang tambakan itong Phoenix because that's exactly what they did. They were just not able to hang on to that lead. But both these teams will be coming with guns blazing, I think, in this matchup.
Pero binanggit mo na, yung para-paraan in that 4th quarter, Carlo. Yeah. Yung Matthew Wright, all game long, hindi lang first 3 quarters, 0 for 6. Owen, tropa ni Owen, 0-6 sa 3-point line. Pero 23 puntos pa rin siya natapos. Best player of the game pa rin. Hindi gumagana yung tres, may iba pang sandata etong Phoenix, di ba?
You find ways to contribute, you find ways to score, you find ways to assist your teammates, and kaya naman leader ng Phoenix Super LPG itong si Matthew Wright because they follow his toughness. Yung kanyang attitude, yung kanyang aggression, yung pag nasa sahig siya, tingin niya kahit sinong kalaban, kahit anong rango, kahit anong napatunayan sa PBA, he will always have a chance to beat him. Ganun yung klase ng mentality ng Matthew Wright. And Phoenix Super LPG has absorbed their leader's mentality as well. Kaya naman pag naglalaro tong Phoenix, kita mo na walang takot eh. Even if they're up against the most loaded teams on paper, there's no fear because they only know that they have to play their game. They only have to represent themselves and stay true to what their game is, to what Phoenix Super LPG basketball is.
Sabi ni Teresito the Basol, he's looking forward to this Chris Banchero versus RJ Hazu matchup. Both of those guys very capable of exploding at any given point. Kita naman natin yung Hazu noong nakaraan, 33. Si Banchero also had his moments in that bubble, Carlo.
Former Alaska Aces teammates, Banchero and RJ Hazu had a lot of great moments together, pero alam mo, hindi nagbunga sa championship for that tandem. Kaya naman siguro may ganong storya rin na going against each other. There's knowledge there. Alam mo kung paano umatake yung kabila. So that should be very interesting. Especially there's a chance that, RJ Hazu will be playing mostly off the bench. So baka magkasabay pa sila ng pasok nitong si Chris Banchero.
But of course, habang pinagkikwentuhan natin, lahat ng ibang pwedeng matchup, lahat ng ibang pwedeng magpakitang gilas dyan sa matchup na yan, ang focus natin will be on the superstars, the gilas guys. Gandang matchup na ito. Matthew Wright versus Paulie. Take a look at their numbers right there. Number 2 and number 4 in terms of points per game. The top 2 3-point shooters in the PBA today in terms of makes per game. Something's got to give. These two will be going at it, Carlo. Matthew Wright plays about 41 minutes a game, you pointed out earlier. Si Paulie, only 30 minutes a game. Pero kita mo naman yung plus-minus niya, almost 5 points.
And that, I think, sabi ko nga kanina, baka tumaas yung minuto na yan for Paulie because, a lot of the coaches, pag dumadating na sa playoffs, they tighten their rotation. Hindi na masyadong umaasa sa mga maraming bench players. They keep it to maybe 3, maybe 4 bench players at most. So we expect the numbers of Paulie to be even higher. But in terms of just a pure you versus me matchup, I think ito na yung
two of the deadliest shooters in the game today, Paulie and etong si Matthew Wright. Of course, playoffs to. Tututukan natin syempre, or tututukan na lahat ng teams, sasandal sa defense on the defensive end. But we want to see those two go off. We want to see shootout as well. Kahit na hindi buong game, Carlo. But for stretches, you want to see those two go at it, right?
Dulo lang. Yung gusto ko sa dalawang yan, may may yabang talaga maglaro si Matthew Wright and Paulie. They will talk to each other. They will be barking at each other. Kaya I hope they have a moment. I really hope magkapalitan ng malalaking tres maya-maya because it will be something to remember if it happens.
Si Matthew Wright, matangkad kay Paulie, masabihan kayang masyado maliit. Hindi naman. Makakita kaya tayo ng gano'n? Ganun eh. Matthew Wright, of course, he's one of those guys who can get under your skin. That is a matchup made in heaven for all of us basketball fans. That is something to look forward to. Pero Carlo, yung noise factor ng dalawang bench, you will be in the venue listening to that. It's gonna be just like a regular game from back in the day, Carlo.
Ang kukulit kasi nung bench nila Sa kabilang banda, you have Abundo and Saitanan, tapos sinamahan pa nila Coach Jason Webb, Coach Johnny Abariento, sama-samang nag-iingay, yung umiikot, nagwe-wave after free throws. Sa kabila naman, I think si Dave Marcelo yung pinakamaingay sa bench ng Phoenix Super LPG. So the energy will be coming from their benches. And it's very exciting to see that battle as well and how it translates into helping their own squads.
Ang pansinin niyo po mamaya to all the viewers out there, after every Phoenix timeout, lalo na kung, actually hindi Phoenix timeout, after every timeout, lalo na pag nasa depensa Phoenix, pagka na mandatory Magnolia, abangan niyo yung 80 na yun, pakinggan niyo gaano kaingay yung bench ng Phoenix. Talagang kasama sila sa pagdepensa. Every timeout, kahit sino kalaban, we've witnessed that all bubble long. Di ba, Carlo?
Yep, and that is why we're looking forward to this particular matchup. Sabi mo nga, Magu, it's sad that we only get a maximum of 2 games between these two teams because, I'd pay to watch a 7-game series between Phoenix Super LPG and Magnolia Hotshots, to be honest. Like, magbabayad ako ng ticket para makapanood ng 7 laro ng dalawang teams na yan just going at it. But, it'll be short and sweet. Could be 1 game, could be 2, but we'll just have to enjoy it and enjoy the ride kung gaano man katagal mag-last itong matchup na to.
Ang sarap panoorin eh. Not just their benches na para masarap pakinggan, pero ang sarap panoorin how they play the game at this stage, at the tail end of that elimination round. Carlo, bukod dyan sa matchup na yan, let's move back to the front line of Phoenix.
Yeah.
You wanted to talk about etong devastating duo nila, talking about Abueva and Perkins. Ibang klase yung kombinasyon. Whether magkasabay o whether magkarelyebo, they do damage, Carlo.
And yung mga statistics na gusto ko talagang tutukan dyan was that we know that they're 2 of the top rebounders in the entire league. But where they get their rebounds from, they're the top 2 in terms of offensive rebounds. So what does that mean? It means second chance points. Mag-ulam natin yan. When you get offensive rebounds, second chance points. But more than that, it helps Phoenix become dangerous from the 3-point range. We already talked about TNT and how they're the second team in terms of 3-point shots made per game. Yung Phoenix po, yung may pinakamarami in total na 3-point conversions in the elimination round. I think 148 3-point shots or something like that. Parang napakarami talaga nung pinakawalang 3-point shots at naipasok na 3-point shots. And offensive rebounding helps that a lot because we all know pag nakakuha ka ng offensive rebounds, it means hindi nakaset up yung depensa ng kalaban. So if they spot Matthew Wright or RJ Hazul open, itong sina Calvin naman after makakuha ng offensive rebound are also very willing passers. So that could be another point of attack. But just going back to that game, to that explosion, itong si RJ Azul where he had the career high against San Miguel Beer, I think 3 or 4 of his 3-point shots came off offensive rebounds. Came off even misses niya mismo na binabalik sa kanya. Kaya dapat tutukan talaga yan na Magnolia. Prevent the second chance opportunities for Phoenix Super LPG.
And yeah, if you don't keep these 2 guys off the boards, any shooter, pag alam mong may rebounder lalakas loob mo, pati coach mo, talagang basta mayroong rebounder, okay lang tumira, talagang bumubuka ang ring pag ganyang pagkakataon. So this is gonna be so good, Phoenix and Magnolia. This game starts right after TNT. And Alaska, hindi naman tayo makapag-fearless forecast eh. Basta ako, kahit sino manalo, basta sana may sudden death. Pareho, both series sa Monday. Kasi sa Monday ulit ako eh.
Selfish. ako naman Magu. Kahit na sinong manalo, alam mo yun, I just want to be treated to a really nice game. I mean, whatever the result might be, we're expecting good things coming from TNT Alaska and Phoenix Magnolia. So I hope we get 2 classics sa quarterfinal pairings natin today.
Carlo, yung pinapangarap nating magkaroon ng isang stretch, yung moment na ito ni Wright versus Lee, nangangarap na lang tayo, titipirin pa ba natin? Sana sa last 2 minutes mangyari yun. Kwentuhan na lang, titipirin mo pa, di ba? Kaya kung kwentong barbero na lang din, yung last 2 minutes, makaka-4 na tres yung Wright, makaka-4 na tres yung Lee. Ganun katindi mangyari.
Parang Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson, mga ganyang klaseng moments, yung
diba?
mga matatandaan natin for a long time. I hope it really happens tonight.
Sana sa last 2 minutes, wag mo nang tipirin. Anong tonight lang? Last 2 minutes mangyari.
Tonight na rin naman yun eh.
So sana po ay nahimay natin ng konti for everybody what to expect for today's games. And meron pa tayong game bukas yung Meralco versus San Miguel, 6:45. Yung Monday, hindi pa natin alam kung may laro dahil depende pa po yan sa magiging resulta mamaya. And then the semifinals will start on Wednesday. By Tuesday po, we will, pagka wala ng mga bagyo, wala ng problema, we will have a semifinal preview for everybody. Pag kumpleto na yung 4, di ba Carlo?
Yep, and we will try to get as many guests as possible para matulungan na i-break down itong mga serye na to. We'll try to get interviews with the 4 semi-finalists before Tuesday para mapakita namin sa inyo. So just stick around, wait for all the updates coming dito sa 2OT. Me and Magu will be doing our best to send you the freshest updates from the PBA.
Last round, bago ka mag-extra, maraming salamat sa pagtutok. Derek Viernes, Ryanson Katindig, Alvin Aquino, Vince Marlu Fernandez Guillermo, Edsel Barocom, Joe Ianong, Joshua Española, Binox Montesino, and everybody else, Patrick Alansalon, The Jet, Esparago Mendez, Brian Banal, and everybody else na nakatutok. Brian Scott, nakapagpahabol pa ng shoutout. Maraming salamat sa inyo lahat for joining us in the last hour or so.
Maraming salamat po for sticking around, and hihingi na rin ako ng pasensya. I had technical difficulties. Nag-restart po yung Mac ko. Nahirapan siya. So that's why I'm on my phone right now. Thank you for
Kaya nag-iba yung tunog, Nag-iba yung tunog ng naka-phone.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you for hanging out with us. Again, ako po si Carlo Pamentuan. Siya si Magumar John. 2OT is presented by Smart, Simple Smart, Game-Changing Simple. Smart kami ni Magu. 2OT is also a member of the Tiebreaker Times podcast family. Magandang hapon po and enjoy the games. It'll be TNT versus Alaska. Later on, Phoenix Super LPG versus the Magnolia Hotshots Pambansang Manok. After that, quarter-final action will be coming right up.